Hello, my name is Terry Saka. Welcome to the Wealth Transfer. Today we're going to get right into the Western versus the Eastern in comparison side by side, how that's going to impact the collapse of the future. Well, listen to this one. The future collapse of the dollar, our retirement, our church's ability to feed and spread the gospel. So stay tuned. This is going to be a good and powerful show. I'm along with Dr. Charles Vance, and folks, get ready.
Terry, does that east-west thing really mean anything? I mean, we're over here, we're over there, they're over there. What's the big deal? People talk about the east, the west, let them do their own thing. I know we get stuff, all of this cup probably says made in China on the bottom of it. Yeah, you see it? I'm aware that we get a lot of our stuff from overseas, but they're still over there and we're still over here.
You know, the problem is we have become such a centralized global economy that everybody impacts everybody. And every country is tied, like for instance in Greece, the Greek debt is tied to the French banks. The French banks in the Spanish are tied to the French banks. French banks are tied to the English banks. The English banks are tied to the U.S. banks.
So it truly is a global economy.
Because the banking system's connected.
Yeah.
Now, the only reason we're still dominant is because we control what they call the SWIFT code. The SWIFT code is what they use to transfer payments from one institution to another instantly. We dominate the SWIFT. What just happened recently, though, because we forced Russia to do, they've developed their own SWIFT code. And don't think for a second they're not going to share that with the BRICS and the Silk Road group we just showed you.
So that's like internet transfer?
Pretty
like
well, computers, electronics.
Okay.
Electronics meaning Bank A.
Right.
Bank A's client just did a $2 billion deal with Bank C's client in another country. So you got these currencies and everything going on, and how do you figure it all out?
But they're not physically shipping currency.
It's all electronic.
It's all electronic.
Yeah.
So we were controlling that.
We control the whole financial system.
So you're talking about the Federal Reserve banking system. Yeah. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, pretty much, right.
Okay.
Yes, the central bank system that is really controlled by the BIS in Switzerland, but that's a whole different conversation.
Okay.
Where do you find that out? They're under no laws, no taxation. They have their own police.
Nice.
Yeah. Can we say AKA Illuminati?
you start your own little thing and do your own stuff.
Man, I tell you what,
Can we get in on that?
Talk about epic arrogance, right? But predominantly, it's what you call Luciferians. So it's not
we don't want in on it.
It's not that they're men that actually are smart. They're just given wisdom by Lucifer and the minions and demons. But we want to show what we're going into here, the numbers on this trade route stuff, because like you started out, the East and West, why does it matter? Because we're all connected. So if 2/3 of the world is starting to say we don't want the dollar in our transaction anymore, we keep saying, no, you're going to keep the dollar in your transaction. How are we going to do that? How are we going to keep them doing what we want them to do?
Has to be something that we would do in order to keep them, or we're going to lose them.
My thinking, we are keeping them because we're sticking our gun in their face, our military. We're the best in the world. I don't think that's the best way to go. I said it one day, the person a couple weeks ago, I said, and we all know this one, you get a lot farther with honey than you do with vinegar. And we are not only putting vinegar into the situation, we're sticking our tongue out while we're doing it. And I just don't think that's flying. So we need to understand how important that is and why it impacts us, because it impacts our retirement, our church's ability, all the savings we have in churches and ministries, spreading the gospel, feeding the poor. This is what the impact is going to be. Your standard of living that you think you have, all that money you've worked so hard to save, if you're not protecting it properly, as this continues, I call it systemic kind of chipping away at who we are. This collapsing that we see happening is going to get a lot worse. And a lot of people think it'll blow over. Be careful. This time it might not. So let's show number 9 real quick. This is the trade route numbers map. And this trade route really meaning, with us in the West and kind of what we're doing. And we think that we kind of have it down. This is the United States. Everything in yellow is our trading partner. If you notice, it's really not a lot of people. Our biggest trade partner is Canada at $600 billion, Mexico at 500 billion. That's why, by the way, Mexico, you can build your own wall. Thank you, Mr. Trump, because I agree. Forget the flood. Keep the people controlled, because we have 100 million people not working in this country already. And then you have Peru and Chile, small amounts. And then if you notice over on the other side, Australia is about 40 billion. The only other person over of significance of any kind is Japan at 200 billion. That's it. Look at everyone else. Vietnam, 20 billion. Singapore, Brunei. What you got to look at this map and get the hang on. This is the TPP map. And these countries are nothing. 20 billion, big deal. You can take that off. Why this is so important? It's really Europe, Canada, and Mexico. All those other countries are small. Japan. But all of them are small. That's not worth our trade power. We were doing trade with the world. We've lost 2/3 of the world. That map is who we're trading with now. And that's it. And you think we're going to sustain dominance and dollar dominance and reserve? You see, this is why we know pretty comfortably something is coming, because we're losing the grip. We're losing the ability to influence. And I think it's because we cannot influence with vinegar. We cannot influence with arrogance. We cannot influence with an iron fist. I think you influence through love, through really trying to help people, not by trying to pound them down.
It seems like there's always an underlying currency of deception with this type of thing.
It does.
All of the, and you know, this stuff has come out in the last few years, how that we have, as a country, have supported basically terrorist groups that have taken over other countries, and then they've turned on us and used our own money and our own equipment to fight against us.
Do you know we created the Viet Cong?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, we did. It backfired on us.
Well, sure.
And look at how many of our men and women died and suffered because of Vietnam. It's horrific what we've done.
Anytime you do something backwards to biblical principles, it's going to backfire on you.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and there will be consequences somewhere down the road.
There is. And, you know, I was flying a few weeks ago, and I was sitting next to a man from Australia. And he said to me, he goes, I don't understand you Americans. He goes, why did you leave your backyard? You're a young country. You had everything. Why did you leave your backyard? Why did you go out and start picking fights around the world for your purpose and gain, greed and gain? And now the world hates you.
Yeah.
Why did you leave your backyard? You would have been fine. And we are in a position we would be fine if we wouldn't have left our backyard. But the problem is, we've already done it, and it's too late.
So instead of being proactive, we have to be reactive now.
Exactly.
Try to catch up stuff, or try to respond rather than being a positive action group of people.
We have to be reactive. And there's only one person out there I see in the political spectrum that's being reactive. Everybody else on both sides are taking us. I mean, proactive, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone else on the same side, everyone else in the political spectrum on both sides of the fence are taking us down the same rabbit hole, just one's doing it quicker than the other.
Political stuff.
I agree totally.
And it's political games.
Yeah.
And we've got to...
It's going to take a businessman to take this country in the right direction.
If there's going to be a turnaround, there has to be somebody stands up and
says... It can't be political.
You can't keep doing it politically.
Yeah.
We've seen that in the last... few years that our leaders are trying to be politically correct with everybody. You can't agree with everybody.
It's impossible. You can love everyone.
Exactly.
But doesn't mean you have to
agree with.
You can't agree with them.
I've told people before, if you try to please everyone, you'll be black, white, you'll be red, yellow, you'll be poor, rich, married, divorced. You can't please people. Yeah. So what our goal should be, really, and I know this is not a biblical program, but we bring in biblical principles, we really need to start pleasing the Lord.
Yeah.
Start doing what He says is right, and when we do that, there's going to be rewards rather than consequences.
And now that, unfortunately, is the biggest problem we have. Now, everyone probably has heard of Common Core, which is our educational standard system. What they're not telling you about that is Common Core's main goal is to destroy that. that Bible.
Oh, I believe that.
Oh, no, they do. I mean, just go look at the questions. They'll give you a question like, is stealing always wrong? You know what? When you say yes, you're wrong. You're wrong on the answer. Because they say it depends on your belief. Now, what they're saying is because we formulate our belief through the Bible, then that's why we say stealing's wrong. If you have a belief from a different culture, they're not biblical or godly, they can justify stealing. You see, what they've done is they perverted the teaching of our children in all of those public schools out there. Your children are being taught seriously perverted concepts. And what they're doing is they're basically tearing apart the Bible's principles of truth, right and wrong. And those that stand up for the Bible are wrong. And if you don't think this is going to impact your life savings, your church's ability to help spread the gospel, watch out, because this, what's getting ready to come is an epic battle, is going to impact everything we know. Get educated, and here's a good way to get started.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Now, as I was saying that we in the West are focusing our trade pack, the East is doing their Silk Road with 2/3 of the population, and we're focusing ours on the TPP and our trade pack mainly bettering the corporations instead of really going after the issue of helping keep the dollar in the center. Now, look at number 10 here. This is the TPP map, which is a GDP map of what we're trying to accomplish.
Explain those two things.
Basically, the red are the countries we're in trade agreement with. It doesn't look very big, does it?
No.
When you look at the whole world, we've lost the entire world in trade dominance.
Now, we trade with other people, but we're not in
we trade with agreement. Yes, and they're trying to spark an agreement to do this. Now, if you notice that, 12 countries are negotiating parties for the TPP, and look at how little. It's only 1/3 of the world's business. That's scary. That map is right there. They're trying to negotiate. I'm thinking we're negotiating the remnant, the last remaining crumb on the table.
So why are they trying?
You can take that off.
Why are they trying to
lock that up?
Why are they trying to make an agreement when we're already trading with different countries?
Because China's making agreements with them.
And what's the agreement going to do? I mean, is it going to exclude certain people?
It's going to say that we will do things under certain standards and keep the dollar center.
Okay.
So basically, the agreement's in the dollar, but worse than that.
So that's
that
the Trans-Pacific trade.
Yes, but worse, Charles. That agreement supposed to be done for these purposes. It's really supporting the corporations of the West. It's going to destroy our Constitution because they're going to take now disputes to an international court instead of the U.S. courts, and we don't know what else is in there. My guess, that agreement will allow international bodies of nations to tell us in America what to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow try to skirt around and take our guns in the Second Amendment. I mean, we're in a lot of trouble if we think that TPP is there to protect us. Problem is, both sides of the political scale are supporting it.
Well, there has to be.
So there's something,
There has to be something that's being hidden because they won't let anybody know what's in it.
Definitely is something hidden, or else why wouldn't you tell us?
Sure.
Yes.
And if it feels good to everybody,
right.
If it feels like it's right to everyone, they'd be telling everybody.
Can you imagine? I mean, they did the whole health care that way. And the most arrogantly pathetic statement ever said, we have to pass it in order to know what's in it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Said by that Democrat. I couldn't believe.
That's not just arrogant, that's dumb.
I was like, gee, let's see, right? I mean, where is any type of rationale in this?
Agreeing with something that you don't even know what you're agreeing with.
Unbelievable.
I had a guy
You're
told
letting
me,
special interests run it, and that's dangerous.
I had a guy that owned a small business in this area told me, he said, hey, I'd like to have free health care. He said, I think I'm going to vote for the guy. And he thought that, and that was the initial concept to the public is everyone's going to have free health care.
That's what socialism does, yeah. Socialism or Marxism talks always about redistributing from those nasty rich people and giving to you something that you didn't earn, but yeah, Robin Hood.
Robin Hood.
Problem is, once they give it to you, they then control you in a way that is going to be devastating. They're going to tell you how to wipe your nose, where you can go, when to go home, when to go to sleep,
and my wife,
it's bad.
My
it's really
wife,
bad.
a former alcoholic and drug addict, 15 years clean, said that there'll be a lot of those people will be putting it up their arm or snorting it up their nose.
Well, probably.
Because if you don't know how to manage in the first place, if I give you something else to manage and you're not managing what you have, and that's not to say that there's some people that deserve a break. There's some people that are trying that they're not getting hit, but the majority, listen, we own rental property. Majority of people that we talk to in our area are people that are looking for a free ride. And we don't even deal with that system for a free ride for folks. We're just, it's obnoxious to me.
Here's the danger part of this.
Here's what Paul said. Apostle Paul, he said, if you don't work, you don't eat.
How
simple is that?
Well, but in the danger of it, Charles, we're debating or we're dilapidating and collapsing morally. This is a moral economic issue in the United States. So what's happening is these trade routes are happening. The East, in 2/3 of the population, is coming over. We're 1/3 arguing corporate protection and powers with the remnant that you see in that map. And in the meantime, our moral compass is being completely deteriorated. Now, what's probably going to end up happening during this attack from the East, at the same time, we're going to have massive social unrest because so many people are out of work, looking for their handouts, don't know what else to do, because we're not focusing, nor have we over a decade or so, focused on fixing us. We're not. And that's dangerous. We're focusing on protecting the banks and protecting corporations. That's not fixing us. Our jobs are going overseas. Our jobs are leaving, and both parties are responsible for this. So we're not only doing this morally, but then they're really, really stirring up race. And that is outrageous. These groups stirring up race hate, there's bad news, because in the end of the day, most people I know, we're all in this together, man. You know, we love one another as neighbors, especially in the body of Christ. But so I got two components going on. They're stirring up race hatred, and they're stirring up this moral decrepancy that's going to really bring it to us. Now, why is that important? Because as we're getting ready to see the dollar collapse through this attack from the East, our country is going to be in turmoil. If we go into martial law of any kind, and our country is socially in turmoil, how convenient will it be for our enemies to attack us? And you think we're going to be prepared? So there's a lot of dynamic playing out here that we need to really focus on. Look at this number 11. This is the actual map of both the BRICS of the East and the TPP. Red is us, green is them. Now here's the thing. Red, that's who we play with. Green is only BRICS, mind you. It's only the 5 countries. All the other gray areas are leaning green. That's merely the leadership. The BRICS are the leadership. The red is the leadership, the United States.
And the green, their goal is to start
take out the dollar.
Start using their own currency.
That's correct.
And when you say take out the dollar, not like completely eliminate it, just eliminate it from their trades.
Yes.
So that they don't have to use it to trade anymore.
That's correct. And so that I don't think you can get a better map than that, Charles, of what's going on. Because what you just saw are the opposing sides to this, and the gray area there in the middle is something
they're in the balance.
Well, most of those are green. I merely showed the leadership.
Okay.
The green leadership, the red leadership. The problem is the red is all we have. We don't have expansive. The gray areas are going green. So the map of the world looks 2/3 that way, 1/3 our way. All we have left is our military. That's not going to sustain it because they can take things down.
Well, it seems like leadership is decreasing the military, if I'm hearing things right.
I won't go there because what our leadership's done to the military has cleansed away patriots and put in people who are Luciferian and anti-God. So we'll just leave it at that. The final of this TPP, what it's really doing is protecting the corporations. And we'll throw this out there, because if you don't think this is important, number 12, think again. The TPP threatens all of our food safety. It places profits of multinational corporations on the food security needs of this nation. They negotiate big ags, including these companies, and what they're doing is they're passing safety regulations or laws that protect the farmers, claiming that they can't say what these GMO foods are. You can take that off. Basically what it's doing is it's going to basically force you, basically they won't label anymore. They're not going to tell you where those foods are coming from. They're not going to tell you they're genetically modified. They're not going to tell you that all the diseases that are being escalated because of GMO. And this is protecting corporations over a trade agreement that's trying to bring things into the right. So it's the wrong direction. And this is going to impact our ability to save. It's going to impact our ability to have a standard of living in the future. Everything you've worked hard for is at risk during this setup confrontation that's coming. And we better get educated, and this is a good way to start.
Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.
Okay, so what we've laid out over the last couple weeks, and if you haven't seen it, you can always go to the website at cornerstoneassetmetals.com. Go up in the upper right corner to the Wealth Transfer Archive. In that archive, you will see that the last handful of few shows in this series, if you haven't seen it, you'll be able to go and see these maps. These maps are really, really important to understand because you want to see the maps of the Eastern cooperation and the maps of the Western hanging on to the crumbs that are left to see how this is setting up to come against the dollar. And when it comes against the dollar, it's going to set up our ability to have a standard of living and our ability to be able to even have a future if we're not going to do it the right way. So you could always go there to check it out, as well as check out some of the other series that'll help you understand the banking system and why your money is not safe. So please go there if you have not, because you want to know these maps. What we want to do is get into the area, Charles, where say, okay, here's the maps. Everyone's like, great, there's the maps, that's fine. How are we going to stop this from happening? We've already, the cat's out of the bag, right?
Globally, a lot of this stuff is not going to be stopped. But as individuals, here's something that's cool. The psalmist said, 1,000 can fall at my side, 10,000 at my right hand, and it won't come near me. The reason, because he talked about being in a place with God, where that he was doing what God told him to do, and it exempted him from the things that were going on around him. As we begin to pay attention to what God instructs us to do, I really believe preparation is a key to success no matter what you're doing.
I mean, is this not a Joseph moment of all time?
Well, even the woman, you remember the woman that came to the prophet, and she said, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do. My husband died. I got 2 boys. We're in debt. And the prophet said, go borrow a bunch of vessels. He said, borrow vessels, not a few. That's what the King James Version said. She brought him, filled her house up. And he said, now take the oil and begin to pour it in the vessels. The moral of that story is, the Bible said, when she ran out of empty vessels, the oil stopped flowing. There's a moral for us there, that we need to prepare for success. The less preparation that we have, that's where the preparation or the success stops.
Let me ask you this, and I love that, because if preparation obviously is it. It's not always just preparation as in having emergency food, having emergency water, protecting your assets into things, you know, like this. It's preparation in knowledge and information.
Sure.
It's preparation in your heart with Jesus Christ. Be prepared to die. And I mean die to go home, because if this gets real bad, you want to be able to know that I'll go home. But be prepared and get accurate information and start talking accurately with one another. Because in the end, if we have it, the truth shall set us free.
Anybody who's watching this program probably is aware that the news is biased.
Yeah.
It's not unusual for news broadcasters to tell you that they don't believe in God, or that they don't believe in the church, or that they don't believe in Satan. They don't believe in anything but themselves, humanism. If that's the case, why are we listening to them?
Yeah.
Because they're giving us a biased view of something rather than us actually having a genuine, truthful view of something.
And if you want, and if people want to listen to truthful views of news and information, go to a source like a daily radio show like True News. You know, they'll give you information and tell you things that are coming on a daily basis you can listen to. We have to stay away from this deceptive media. We have to, as a nation, stay away from the lies. The narrative of the media is unbelievably slanted towards destroying. It's incredible, and it's got to be Luciferianly driven. Because if people try to say, how are we going to stop this? How are we going to stop it? We. Let me leave you with this as a tickle and wait till next week. Go to image number 13. Our military's footprint. Look at that. I'll explain that next week. You can take it off. If you haven't made Jesus Christ the center of your life, ask Him, let that truth set you free. God bless you.
Join us next week, same place, same time. I'm Charles Vance for Terry Saka. We'll see you next week for the wealth transfer.
Cornerstone Asset Metals has focused on using gold and silver reserves to protect your assets from volatile currencies. Another hard asset that is just as important for your sustainability is food. We believe that preparation is a key to being successful in an unstable economic environment, so we started Cam Ready Food just for you. The Bible tells us that Joseph used the resources of Egypt to prepare for a global famine by storing up food in a time of plenty. His preparation not only preserved the lives of his family, but many others as well. At Cornerstone, we believe the time is now to re-examine this biblical lesson so that you and your family can be prepared for any disaster, job loss, food shortage, or economic instability. You can start preparing today by visiting our website, camreadyfood.com, because food truly is the ultimate currency. Cornerstone Asset Metals is here to help you protect and preserve what you have worked hard to gain. For those who have IRAs to protect, 401ks to preserve, or cash in the bank, we would like to send you a package of information regarding the changes to the dollar and the challenges of our economy that you need to be prepared for. This package includes how easy it is to roll over your current IRA or 401k into a physical precious metals IRA for long-term protection of your hard-earned wealth. For those of you with cash to invest, we can arrange to have your precious metals stored in a private vault or simply send it to your home. Call or register now.